So inspectors, we get to number 4, roof covering. And on the onset, this looks very similar to what we've had in the past. There are a couple key changes here. And the first one that pops out at you is they added a line for synthetic and composite tile. So that'd be your plastic type stuff, that we're starting to run into, people are starting to use more often. So on the onset, that's what we see. And we'll go through this real quick though. If you've done these before, there's not too many changes, but there's one little hidden word in here that's going to make a difference. But before we get into it, this study right here comes from the ARA, and this is where they come up with all the wind mitigation stuff. The state of Florida does this every 5 to 10 years. They go out after hurricanes and they look at different aspects and how they can improve mitigation of damage and mitigate the damage from hurricanes. So this is a percentage of damaged roof coverings from Hurricane Ian, and it was their damage survey. And immediately you'll notice, shingles are, there's more damage to shingles than anything else. Of course, they're more prevalent. So, there wasn't large samples when they did some of this stuff, but you can see there's definitely a difference when you have metal or tile. So this is where they'd like to know these things. Is it going to affect somebody's insurance of what they have? Don't know, but at least we don't know at the time I'm recording this because their rates aren't out yet. But it is telling, and this explains why we report some of this stuff and not just the roof covering. So here's a comparison of loss ratio. And again, you're looking at new versus mid versus old. And this is for asphalt shingles. So you can see what happens is when you generally have something that's older, it fails sooner. And I think we've all known this as inspectors, but this just kind of reiterates it. And you can see where, and just over 50 miles an hour wind speed, there's a much higher rate of failure. And then, of course, by the time you get, closer to the 75, they all pretty much start to fail anyway. But here's what you have. And again, it just reiterates what we know as inspectors and we always talk about, but it puts it in a graph format that you can visualize. So question 4, roof covering, like I mentioned, there's not a whole lot of difference here. And as we get through it, we'll show you that you can put in your permit application date, and that should be enough information. But as we all know, a lot of insurance companies realized early on that some people could apply for a permit, have it voided, and it wouldn't apply, technically shouldn't apply. So a lot of them are asking for that permit application date. They're asking for permit number as proof and a final. So you could add that on the line. And if you look at my form here, the blue lines actually represent the form fields on my form. I just type it in all the way across, but we also include a copy of it as documentation down below. We do a screen grab, and you can attach a page if you want, however you want to do that to document it, but you do have to document it. So I just like to be able to copy and paste, and if you look for my little capture down below, you'll actually see my office. Allie just puts these notes in there, and then we just copy and paste that right in there, so it makes it nice and easy for us. Not until the last couple of years that people really want a copy of the permit, but you really need to start including those. So we've been doing it this way for many years, and we just decided not to change. Doesn't hurt anything, but you definitely have 3 columns here. So you pick the material, and then you put the permit application date. So, and they could vary for different ones. So, especially if you have a flat roof in the back, they changed sooner, that kind of stuff. So one thing interesting though, when you come to FBC and Miami-Dade County project approval numbers, you used to just have to put that in there and it was good enough. But now they want the year of original installation or replacement as well. So you have to have the project approval. And, I've taught this for many years where we just found a bundle of shingles in the garage and we said, oh, it was Miami-Dade County approved. We put that in there. We were good to go. Well, now they want the year. And if you think back to earlier in this class, they're starting to divide up the FBC credits. And, there's the 2001 credit, and then there's the 2007-ish, 8. So either way you want to look at it, they're just trying to track it because we all know if you have a 2002 roof at this point in 2026, it's probably not worth much as far as a credit. So that was or for each one of these columns. Now you need and for FBC or Miami-Dade product approval, and you need the year it was installed. So That's all that was that change on there, and that's important to know. And if you haven't read the form, I always recommend, and I say this in all my classes, go read the form, and you'll start to pick out some words like that have changed that make a difference. So obviously, if you have no information for a particular roofing covering, you can just check the box at the end and put no information provided for compliance. Now, I mention this because if you have a membrane roof or built-up roof or something else, even if you think it's a little decorative or whatever, you probably should have it on there, and so they know when it was changed. Again, we have outside the high velocity hurricane zone, proof of compliance. We look for permit application of 3102, and for the high velocity hurricane zone, 9194. And again, this is the same as the question 1 for the most part. And we're looking for 3102 in the high velocity hurricane zone. We're going to go back to the FBC. So it's all that saying. So there it is there on the bottom. We have our product approval listings, and we're gonna put them all on there and have them. So all roof coverings. So if they all meet FBC 2002 or later, 3/1 2002 or later, we can mark A, and that's for any roof anywhere. For B, for Miami-Dade, if it's in Miami-Dade County, Broward County, a high velocity hurricane zone only, we need a permit application 91494. And before 3102, this is clarified now on this form. They meant it before, but they clarified it now. And we're going to go back to A if it's after the 3102, even in Broward and Dade County. So there you go. And then, of course, if we have one or more that doesn't meet, and then we have no roof coverings meet. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That allows you to divide it up. If you have other type of roof, make sure you fill that out. We can argue about what types of roof or which, but you never know what you're going to find in the field these days. So there we are. So these are what the product approvals do. When we talk about this all the time, and I put it in here because I want everybody to understand there's a difference between the notice of acceptance NOA, which is Miami-Dade, and the product approval, which is Florida. So almost any NOA can be used throughout the state, and product approvals, you have to be approved for Miami-Dade to use them there. So just so you're aware of that. A lot of times they'll say Florida approved statewide, and usually that works too. So I showed this picture because this is what we used to do years ago. You'll notice it's a 3-tab shingle. It has the Miami-Dade logo on the back, so it was approved in Miami-Dade, but I would need to add the year to make sure that was going to work. So I can prove it, the product's there, but it's an approved product, and I need to know what the year was as well. So back in the day, we didn't always know, and that worked. So.